When you're a kid, everybody tells you to follow your dreams. But when you grow up, they tell you you're crazy for following them. At least that's what happened to me. Hi guys, I'm Eddie, but some of you guys out there know me as Eddie Extreme. And boy, do I have a gut punch of a story for you. It all started when I quit washing dishes and took off to chase my dreams as a stuntman. But not just a regular stuntman, an extreme stuntman. Growing up, me and the boys were always pulling crazy pranks or wild stunts, and there was always a camera around. I'd pride myself on being the toughest clown around. Maybe not the biggest, maybe not the strongest, but definitely the toughest. I was extreme. Yeah, baby. Anyways, our friends loved our videos so much, we set our sights on making it a real thing. What's a real thing? Marlene said. Marlene's my girlfriend, and sometimes she likes to dissect my ideas until they don't even make sense to me anymore. I don't know, I said. Like a TV show or something? Truthfully, I think Marlene was a little irritated by my extreme stunts, because sometimes I'd wake her up with fireworks or decorate her car with whipped cream. But no matter how crazy I got, Marlene always cracked a smile. Back when we fell in love, she told me that I had the heart of a child, and that was her favorite thing about me. We promised each other we'd never grow up and be like our parents. But these days, she seemed to be losing her sense of humor. I mean, not as much as my crazy rich, stick-in-the-mud uncle. I was doing a skateboard trick off the top of his roof, and I didn't even scratch nothing. He called me Peter Pan and said I needed to get a job. I was sick of hearing that kind of stuff from people with small dreams. I barely moved in with my aunt and her super rich husband, and already they were on me. Guys like Uncle Randall just didn't get it. How was I going to be a superstar stuntman with a worker bee mindset like him? All he knew how to do was turn used cars into dollar bills. But somehow, that made him a hard worker, and me, some kind of loser. For me, the formula to life was simple. Work out, party hard, and skate to the extreme. That's when my boy Kirk and I first started doing stunts. Those were the good old days. Now, all the pressure was on. I snagged this job washing dishes so my rich uncle would get off my back, but I had big plans. Me and the boys were going to start a new challenge we were calling Gut Punch Extreme. It's about as simple as it sounds, dudes, and it's about as hardcore, too. Me and Kirk were going to trade punching each other in the gut until one of us gave up. Marlene would listen to my wild ideas, but eventually she'd just be off to work her grocery job. Marlene used to always buck the system, stick it to the man, but lately she was singing a different tune. She even had this job thing for me she wanted to talk to me about. And that's when I told her she was starting to sound like my miserable uncle. Out of nowhere, Marlene began to cry. I don't think I've seen this girl cry in 3 years. And then, boom. For no reason, she starts tearing up. I tried to talk to her about it, but she just said, "Fine, you go do your gut punch thing." And then she told me she wanted to talk to me, but she wanted to do it over dinner. Dinner sounded great, and we agreed to meet up that night. She texted me the name of this real classy restaurant, the ones that make you borrow a coat before you can sit down. She got us reservations, and I was feeling something was up. But I was busy all day getting my gut punched, which happened over and over and over. And in the end, I won this week's challenge. I couldn't wait to see the footage, so Kirk and I went back to our coffee shop and started to edit our extreme gut punch video, but I got so caught up in it I forgot about that fancy dinner date I had with Marlene. I drove like Speed Racer over to the restaurant, and no dice. She was gone by the time I got there. Some waiter said that she was pretty emotional when she left, and he handed me a card. There was a small photo that looked like some kind of abstract art until I realized I was looking at a sonogram. There was a message in the card, and it just said, "Big news, Daddy." Daddy? This was my kid? Holy mackerel, I was on cloud 9. "Marlene, it's me. Open up." She was trying to sleep, but I wanted to celebrate. "No," she said. Just then, it became clear that Marlene wasn't in the mood to celebrate at all. Marlene said she had to get up early for work, and then she threw in this part about how maybe I should try it once in a while. I let her sleep, but I sat up on her couch most of the night, thinking about what to do. Marlene needed to relax, not have to work all day at the grocery store. The next morning, I said she should quit, and I told her that she could move in with me. I told her how rich my aunt and uncle were, and they would help us out at least until the baby was born. It was the perfect solution, but Marlene wasn't convinced that they wanted her there. I said I would handle that. I knew just what to say to smooth things over with Uncle Randall, or at least I thought so. Not only did he deny me, he kicked me out, saying I didn't appreciate any boundaries. It was one of the worst days of my life. That night, I was washing my way through the late shift at the restaurant, wondering about where I was going to live or how I was going to take care of a kid. I thought about what I was going to tell them when they get older and ask if dreams really do come true. Suddenly, I knew what to do. And that night when I got off, I told my manager I wouldn't be back. I decided then and there I was going to ride my dreams hard. And I met up with Marlene to tell her the news. And asked to crash at her place until I found us a house. She looked at me like I was crazy. "You got kicked out? You quit your job?" she asked, ripping my ideas again. I said that becoming a father was sharpening my senses, and I knew I needed to go after my dreams. I reminded her that we couldn't ever grow up. But all Marlene wanted to talk about was this job. She was trying to shut me down, and I couldn't dig it. So I refused to listen, and I left. I got on my skateboard and just drifted. I was sidewalk surfing around town, wondering how in the world I'd be able to be a father without giving up on my dreams. It was important for me to tell my kid, whoever he or she was going to be, that dreams do come true. When I came by to see Marlene the next morning, she was gone, and there was a box of my things by the door. Talk about a punch in the gut. But I found something else. Inside the box was a business card for a video studio. When I turned the card over, I recognized Marlene's handwriting. "Might be a cool job," that's all she wrote. It took me a couple of weeks before I called the number, but I'm glad I finally did. "Are you the kid with the muscle punch video?" this producer guy was asking. Turns out he was impressed with my work, but he didn't want me to fall off roofs or sit on fireworks. He wanted me to edit documentary films about nature. Apparently, it was my editing that impressed this guy. The pay was good, and the company even had benefits that Marlene needed for the pregnancy. So I took the job, and I got a small apartment while I saved up for a house. It's a funny thing because during that time, Kirk moved in and was practically living on my couch. He never wanted to work, and after a while, I came to understand how old Uncle Randall felt. I decided to apologize one day, and I showed up at his car dealership and washed all his cars for him. I even recorded a commercial for him to play in his waiting room. "How much do I owe you for that?" he asked. "It's on me," I told him. "I owe you." I found myself focusing on others. I was working hard in the editing room and taking care of Marlene as best I could. I had us a small starter home by the time the little dude was born. I'm a proud papa now, and I learned that even though I wasn't working on my dreams, I loved helping others with theirs. And then, I learned a secret. You can get everything you want in this world if you just help others get what they want. And it's true, because after my company hit big time with their nature production, my new boss helped me sell my skateboarding show. And now Extreme Eddie is back in action, baby. Oh yeah! What have you helped others with lately? Tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.